Oh man, what a title.
Yeah, it is a pretty good. It's everything you need to know about this squat is in the title of the video.
All right. Thomas Harris, 80 kilos, 303 tempo, time 10 at RPE 7.
Still
I'm
holding
for
his
rep
knees
one.
back too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've had Thomas on, I want to say, 2 other
Yeah,
times.
Yeah,
yeah.
we have.
And I
Yeah.
think he was holding his knees back last time we had him.
Yes, yeah. Holding your knees back was the problem on either
Yeah.
of those.
And this is
Yeah.
not RPE 7, just
No.
for the record.
I don't
Turns
know.
out
I'm
it's not.
only.
This is like
Yeah.
RPE
Yeah.
4, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's making these hard by holding his knees back too much.
Yeah. So whenever you, just as a note, if anybody's using RPE out there, it is very difficult to gauge on high rep sets for one, and it's more difficult to gauge on these odd variations because there's a huge skill component to it. You don't actually know how kind of far you can take that muscular fatigue if you're doing like 303 tempos. And like RPE 7, if we're saying, yeah, I had that for 2 more clean reps, you don't know if you had that. You don't know if you had 12 in you or 13 in you or 14 in you. So it may have a relatively limited utility for you at this stage in the game.
A few comments. Travis Reed, Rip Voice, RPE is bullshit. Okay.
I completely agree with that. That's one thing I was going to touch on. I think I would not rely on RPE. The thing about it is, especially whenever programming is built around RPE, they say, well, you can't go over RPE 7 or RPE 8. Well, that means you're just giving yourself permission to bitch out of the way if it feels heavy that day. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in a bar and I'm like, there's no way this is happening today, and I still got it all. So I would not rely on RPE for anything other. Maybe after the lift is over, being like, oh, that felt like an RPE 7 or 8, but it should not be dictating your training at all.
Yeah, think about it like a communication tool.
Yeah.
So like
Yes.
if you're doing your own programming and then you're noticing that, like, let's say you're even on the LP and then you're like, okay, and frankly I don't really like the RPE. I like reps in reserve, or pounds in reserve is a much more colloquial, understandable system, where if you're just like, yeah, I had 1 rep left in the tank, I had 10, I could have put 10 more pounds on the bar there. Just jot those things down in your notebook. Like, more details are not going to hurt you at any point. That way you can tell, like, if across the weeks, if every single time you're like, I had absolutely nothing left in me, and you can kind of keep that trend up for 3 weeks, and you're like, man, I'm getting back pain now, I'm getting knee pain now, I can't really sleep, my appetite's gone down. You can use that description, that qualitative stuff, to make programming decisions. But if you're still relatively new to lifting, don't use it as like a prescription tool, I don't think. Don't be like, all right, I'm going to go in and work up to an RPE 7 whenever you've been lifting for 3 months. So
yeah. And, another thing about RPE, people who tend to do more manual labor jobs, who are used to hard things, that their perception of what an RPE is going to be completely different than somebody who's worked a desk job their whole life.
Yep.
So they might be at a RPE 9, but they keep convincing themselves, this is 6, this is 7, this is 6, this is 7, whenever they're getting really close to failing a rep, versus somebody who's, been at a desk job their whole life. Something might get a tad bit grindy and they're like, there's no way I can do any more. That was an RPE 9. It's just not a reliable source of information.
Yeah, I think that's the utility of having the coach. You're adding
Yes.
another layer of kind of information verification, and it's really easy to trick yourself, if you're just working by yourself. Really, every wrestler and grappler that I've worked with, a lift will look like it's RPE 11. It will look like they're going to die, and they'll be like, yeah, that was fine.
Exactly.
Whereas other people, as soon as it starts to get a little bit slow, it slows down, 10% off of rep 1 in a 5 rep set, and they'll be like, there was nothing else. There was nothing else in the tank, So
yeah, I've had clients like that, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get a coach. That way you can essentially have that. You can outsource your thinking, and then you can verify that information off. So.
Yep, definitely.